Welcome to KQEG and Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, into wellness, into fitness. Well, this week, the spotlight moves to UWL men's basketball. A great program here in the Midwest with head coach Kent Dernbach, along with Taulvish, McCray, and Ben Meinholz. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I just happened to be at Mitchell Hall on Sunday and watched an incredible offensive output by the Eagles against Wartburg. Dick Paith, the head coach, is a personal friend of mine, so I came for two reasons. Watched you score 86 points. You had 85 points the day before. And so the Eagle basketball team is on a roll, Coach.
Well, we're certainly on a roll offensively, right? And we know when we have some really talented guys on the offensive end, and it's stuff that we talked about, ending last season into this season, that we are going to become more comfortable. There's no secret, we're a motion offense system on that side of the basketball, and that takes time. And we developed into a much better basketball team on the offensive side, finishing off last year. And there's some down, there's some, it's not perfect, right, when you do it. It takes a little time to get used to some guys. We brought in 8 new guys this year to our program, so it took a little time to adjust to that. But, this week, to go 3-0, to one point emphasis that we wanted, Terry, was, making a play for a teammate. And there's no better stat than obviously assists. To have 14 assists against Viterbo and win on our home court, to back that up, to have 14 again against a really good Buena Vista team, and then to have 19, on Sunday right after that against Wartburg. I think just goes to show, our young men commitment, not only to make a play for themselves, to make a play for their teammate, because we have good guys in our program, and they're certainly not selfish basketball players, and they know how to play the game. And now we're seeing that certainly on the offensive side.
Well, when you break it down analytically, like you're saying, that tells a story right there in itself in terms of all the things that you use to evaluate your success of the game and the season and so on. Speaking of assists, speaking of knowing the floor, speaking of taking the ball as the quarterback does in football, that's Taulvish McCray. And I've been impressed with you scoring 10 points a game. You're from Neenah, but you have assumed as a senior a good role, and it seems like you're comfortable, Taulvish.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely comfortable. I mean, we all know what role we have to play in order for us to reach our potential, and I just try to do everything I can, to make a play for my teammates and try to make a play for myself when I know that that's what we need. But, I mean, just being comfortable and knowing my role and knowing that the guys around me have trust in me to make those plays for them. And then I also have trust in them to, when I make a play, or like have an assist or something, I always have confidence in my guys knocking the shot down.
Trust is reciprocal. So I know what you do because I watch you, but a lot of our viewers probably don't know your strengths. Share those with our viewers.
Well, I think my biggest strength, would be my defense. I think on-ball defense, I take a lot of pride in it, not letting my guys score. I mean, if I get scored on a couple times, you can pretty much just see it in my face. I just really don't enjoy that happening. So I think my biggest strength would be defense. And I think some other strengths of mine, I think just taking care of the ball, being our ball handler, and also trying to be a leader on the court whenever I can. Decision
making. Coach Krzyzewski says defense is the great equalizer. And I'm sure Coach talks about that too. Well, we can't forget about Ben Meinholz, who got to know a little bit before we went on the air, but from Oconomowoc, all conference 3 years in a row. A senior, you have probably attained or surpassed what you thought your role would be and what you've done for UWL basketball. You're leaving quite a legacy, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, it is, everything about it in the past couple of years has been sweet. Obviously the main goal is to make it to the NCAA tournament, win a few games, even a national championship. But, starting off freshman year to win the first conference championship in 51 years, and then everything else that's come after that has really been pretty cool so far.
Well, again, if you missed it, all conferences, freshman, sophomore, and junior season, you're 5-2, and you're 4-0 at the friendly confines of Mitchell Hall, 4-0. So how do you evaluate Ben's performance so far this season?
It was a little slow starting off at first. I was just trying to, I didn't play the first game due to injury, so I was just trying to kind of find my rhythm back on the floor. But, like you said, the last couple of games, offensively has been pretty good, and me and Taulvish have been key factors in helping move the ball and helping score some points. So we're just kind of focusing on the defensive.
You're averaging 14 points a game. You're one of the go-to players. So your role, you're comfortable in your role.
Absolutely.
Coach, this is your second year. You were on our show last year, and I know a lot of our viewers recall that. And you were in a kind of predicament, somewhat. In other words, you came late, which was a blessing to UWL and to the community. You came late from a great program run by a friend of mine, Coach Semling, and you learned a lot of things. You were a college player. You took a team to the NC2A in Carthage. I mean, you've done a lot of things over the years. Let's go back, before we talk about your last year, let's go back first. Some of the things you learned as a coach, as an assistant coach, and as a player.
Well, you talked about Coach Semling, and then before him, he learned from some really good coaches, and and Coach Jack Bennett and Dick Bennett, right? And I'll carry down, probably the number one thing I learned is, good basketball knows no level. I've been at the Division I level, and I was fortunate to work for some great coaches there, and Coach Larinaga, Coach Ricardo Patton, Mark Montgomery at the Division I level, and experienced it as a player at Carthage. Not quite accurate that I led a team to the, but
well, you were part of that.
Well, I waved the heck of a towel, Terry. I can tell you that. So, but we had some really good programs at Carthage. We made a Final Four, and won a couple league titles, made another Sweet 16 during my time there at Carthage. But, all of that stuff, good basketball knows no level, right? If you know how to play the game, you know how to take care of the basketball, you know how to defend, you can play with anybody. And our league proves that every single year, right? When you look at the quality of basketball that's in our league, top to bottom, right? It doesn't matter if it's the #1 team or the team that finishes 8th. I mean, you look at UW-Platteville, 3 years ago, they go 1-13 in the league. And that's not because they're a bad program, it was a bad team. It's because the league was that good. And that's what's so special about what these guys are a part of, and what we're looking to accomplish is each and every single night we're going to be challenged, and you have to play good basketball to win those games. You need to take care of the ball, you need to be efficient on the offensive end, and you have to be willing to defend night in and night out. Because if you don't, with the schedule that we play, non-conference or conference, you will be embarrassed. But in playing a schedule like that, when you win, there's something special to it, right? When we win basketball games, when we succeeded this past week and went 3-0, we beat 3 really good teams, 3 really well-coached teams. And that's something that these guys can take a whole lot of pride in. And those are the games that you remember, right, Terry? You don't remember the games that you blow a team out by 30 or 40 because you're supposed to be better than them. We don't play a schedule like that,
I know you don't. No cupcakes on your schedule. Speaking of these guys, tell me something special about these two. What do you see in them?
Well, there's one thing, with Taulvish, and this isn't a short answer, but Taulvish McCray didn't make the roster his freshman year here at UW La Crosse. Then as his second and third year here was on the team, but didn't play significant minutes. At times was a role player, and at times was a really good practice player. And up until his junior year, last year, he played less than 175 minutes the previous year. And then he took a jump from being a player that was a practice player, part-time role player, to then being a contributor, but not only a contributor, Terry, to then being a starter in this league, and then from a starter to being an honorable mention all-conference player. And that is not easy to do, to make a jump like that at our level, and then to be the second player in UWL basketball history to be on the all-defensive team in the WIAC. And then, with Ben, you talk about a player that it's so hard to be an all-conference your freshman year, but to back it up again then his sophomore year. And I was so pleased with Ben last year that he was able to make the jump from not being an honorable mention all-conference player, but to actually get recognized like he should in this league to be a first-team member. And he's committed. He knows, Ben Meinholz could average 18, 19 points a game, but you look at his career, he's right around 14 points a game because he knows. I mean, that's what it takes to win against the teams that we're playing against. We don't need 2 guys to average 20. We need a whole bunch of guys to average between 10 and 14, and that takes a great sacrifice, and Ben's a really good example of that.
Ben may know his role. Taulvish may know their role. But the games I watch, or broadcast or referee. I'm not so sure that happens so often where players are comfortable in their role and would rather pass the ball than have the star have the spotlight on themselves. And so I think that's a missing ingredient of a lot of teams, and it's obvious that your emphasis is on team rather than individual play, and they have bought into it. And I notice that when I watch games, and that's why it's a special program. Well, we're going to get to know these guys a little deeper when we come back, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more with UWL men's basketball right after this.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to Seven River Sports. Again, a special show, the spotlight on UWL Eagle basketball. By the way, I'm a graduate of UWL, so I really enjoy having the Eagle coaches and athletes, Kent Dernbach, Taulvish, McCray, and Ben Meinholz. Well, last year, Coach, first year you were 13-13 and 5-9 in the WIAC. Takeaways from last year?
Well, really pleased with how committed our guys were, to allowing me into their life, right? My first official day was the second day that you could start practice. And obviously every young man on our roster, basketball's a priority for them. And then when you invite somebody in, right, they don't know me, I don't know them, and they invite me into their life, right, to take control of something that's so important to them, something that they love, and they put their trust into me, and they put the trust into our system. The results, not where we want them to be in league play, but certainly exceeded expectations where people thought that our team was going to be last year. Where we were in, out of our 26 games, we were legitimately in 25 of those 26 games. Where we were in 12 games that were decided by 5 points or less, and we won 6 of those and lost 6 of them. So very, very easily we could be on the other half and have 18 or 19, but likewise we could be on the other side too. And again, a credit to our young men last year to make sure that they believed in our system, they're committed to it, and now this year we're taking it to another level.
I want to just take an excerpt out of what you said. This is really profound. You said your players invited you into their lives. Now, the old style of coaching, and I was that way, and I'm not necessarily proud of it, but the old style of coaching was more autocratic, more dictatorial, more like it wasn't about relationship building at all. And you maybe had coaches that have that approach because that was in vogue. That was the style years ago, and there was no other style. Now the style of coaching, and the players, I'm sure, appreciate it more, is all about relationship building, trust, and reciprocal kinds of things. And that's what you bring to the program, and that is a good evolution in what coaching now is all about. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if our guys don't buy in, it didn't matter what I was selling last year, right? If I could have been Mike Krzyzewski coming in here, and if Taulvish, McCray, and Ben Meinholz and the rest of our veteran group don't buy into what I'm preaching, we're not going to overachieve, right? We're not going to reach our goal. And these guys, I trust them. I mean, that's the thing, Terry. From last year to this year, I grew to trust them. You grow to respect one another, right? You grow to really care for one another when you're in those battles. And eventually, when we talk about our program, and we're not afraid to say it, you grow to legitimately love each other. You love your teammates. You love the players that are playing for you. And again, for the opportunity to come in here for these guys to trust in me last year, it says so much about them, and certainly for the foundation of what we have going forward here at UWL.
It does indeed. Well, let's get to know Taulvish from Neenah. All honorable mention last year. Coach talked about your defensive skills. You're off to a great start. 3 letters in basketball and football. Let's kind of go back to the home of a friend of mine, Ron Einertson at Neenah, and you left a legacy there too. Talk briefly about your high school years.
I mean, my high school years, I think they went great. Specifically for basketball, kind of close to like how I feel with this team here. I mean, I never experienced before then family feel for a team. I mean, our coaching staff and just everybody for that basketball team, we just became really close, and where everybody was just like brothers, which is kind of how I feel here at UWL as well. But I mean, we had good years, and best year my senior year where we made it to the state championship. Took second place, lost to Germantown, but still it was a great experience that I'll always remember.
If I went back and asked people in the Neenah area or Neenah High School their thoughts and what kind of legacy you left there in just a few words, what would you say? What would they say?
I think they would just say, you know, it was just how hard I worked. Honestly, a lot of people that watch me would come up and tell me after games that they just loved the effort that I put in, and they could see that I loved the game and loved the guys around me and did it, I mean, basically did it for them. So I think just the effort that I put in for both of my sports, basketball and football, a lot of people said they could tell that I really gave it my all, and they really appreciated that.
Effort beats talent when talent doesn't show up.
Yep, exactly.
Well, speaking of effort, I saw you have 20 points against Wartburg, and you're a senior, and Marquette University, they remember you there, of course.
Yeah.
I know. I haven't been there, but if I went back and asked them, what would they say?
Well, I think they'd be happy with the amount of commitment that I put in. You know, freshman year, it was not a very good experience for me. I hardly played at all. And then it was just tough with the coaches and everything. And then sophomore year was on JV, even though like the varsity coach tried me out for varsity, but all of my friends and like my class, which was a really good class, all stayed on JV, and then that kind of carried on throughout the years. But I think just my commitment, even in the summer, just getting in extra work and shots and just trying to perfect my game was something that I think they would take away from that.
Did you think when you were younger growing up that you had the talent, the perseverance, the opportunities, the work habits, the skill to become a collegiate athlete?
That was always where my mind was at. I mean, even in grade school, I had wanted to play basketball in college, and you know, I've played against older guys who have been Division I, Division II, and they've given me some words of wisdom on you just can't not work hard. Like, no matter what you do, you always got to give it 100%. And you know, I think that stuck with me. And any time that I've gotten in the gym and gotten extra work in, that is something that always is in the back of my mind.
You're a senior.
Yep.
Graduation, rec major. What's in the future, in the next chapter of your life, Ben?
Well, I still have one more year left before I graduate, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet, but, you know, just kind of leaving my opportunities open, seeing where rec management is going to take me. Okay.
And your major is exercise sports science,
Yep.
fitness. Talk about where that will take you, Taulvish.
Well, I'll be graduating in this spring, and then I'll have to do an internship this summer. So I'm not exactly sure where the internship will be yet, but hopefully I can either continue a career with that internship if I get offered a job, or you know, I don't know exactly where I'll go yet. I mean, since my mom is out in Washington, my dad's in Tennessee, I kind of have options. So I think I'll just try to find a city that I feel comfortable in and then go on from there.
I know a city. It happens to be the one we live in right here.
Yeah, Crosse, Wisconsin.
I would love to have both of you stick around for after you graduate. Well, Coach, look at the schedule ahead. As we tape the show, by the way, prior to Christmas, December 10th and December 12th, and we just finished watching you, of course, in the win over Wartburg. But December 22nd, you're at Carroll, and what caught my eye is you're going to Phoenix. You're going to the Valley of the Sun, someplace that we go in the month of March to watch spring training. So the Eagle men are going to the Valley of the Sun, and the Eagle women are going to the beaches of Southern California.
Yeah.
So talk about what's ahead for the season, the WIAC, and what's your thoughts?
Sure. Well, we have a great schedule coming up for us. You know, our remaining 3 non-conference games. You know, at Carroll, team that we were able to beat on our home court, and they finished now. They've transitioned to CCIW, and they've finished you know, in the top half of that league now the last 2 years, and obviously we were so darn good in the Midwest Conference and really well coached. And then we'll have a couple days off for Christmas, and then we fly out and have a great opportunity to play and probably quite arguably will be the best Division III tournament in the country. It could have been preseason or during the season or now here right at the end of December, where all 3 teams, Lake Forest has picked to win their league. That's who we open up with there, and then have the opportunity to either play Elmhurst or Marietta. Marietta is undefeated yet, and you know, top 10 in the country. So it's going to be a great challenge there. But that leads. That's what we want to do with our schedule, Terry. You know, leads into WIAC play, where we get to open up. It's really interesting. We get to open up with Stout on that Wednesday in January, and then right after that, then we finish with Stout the last game of the season, which is really odd, right? You play them the first game, and then you play them the last game there. But you know, to play Stout at home and then go on the road and go right to Platteville, I mean, you're in the thick of it. I mean, Stout's off to a nice start with their new coach. Coach Lake is doing a really good job in their pressure-style defense. And then we're going to go on the road and play Platteville, who's going to be big at positions, and they're going to switch a lot of things. And obviously the job that Coach Gard has done there and winning the WIAC last year. So that's what it's all about. It's playing in the best league in the country, and we're going to be tested night in and night out.
Well, in the WIAC tournament's February 19th,
yeah.
Well, ways away. But also last year you went to the first round of the WIAC, and you lost by 2 points to Oshkosh. I mean, you had a great season and a great ending. Real quickly, who's picked to be on top this year?
Well, preseason it was Oshkosh. They went to the national title game, you know, last year. But I'm sure Point and Whitewater are going to have something to say about that, along with Platteville. You know, where they feel like any of those 4 teams, they feel like, hey, where we finished last year, what we have returning, you know, that we could be in that top spot. But you know, for us, Terry, there's no reason that we can't get ourselves in the driver's seat, or at least have one hand on the wheel, right, when it comes to after that first round of WIAC play, where the team that wins our league is not going to do it by probably just losing 1 or 2 games. We're not going to have any years like there was a few years ago where it was 14-0, right? 14-0 or 13-0 won the WIAC. You know, this year you're probably going to come out with 3 or 4 losses, and if we can continue to hold on to our home court like we've done here in non-conference play, going undefeated, and then take our defense on the road and win games with our defense on the road and be in those games, I trust where our seniors, you know, in their development, I trust where our program is at, that there's no reason that we can't be in the hunt, and we won't be in the hunt, you know, down the stretch there into week 18 and week 19 in February.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Well, as we close the show, ready for this?
Yep.
Favorite, we taped the show here on December 12th. Taulvish, favorite Christmas memory?
Favorite Christmas memory? I guess one that comes to mind, I guess, is when I was little. I couldn't even tell you how old I really was, but for some reason I don't know why this memory always sticks with me, but I was little and I woke up in the middle of the night, and so I went to my parents' room, and I was just super excited because it was Christmas, obviously, and I went in there and I woke them up. I'm like, Mom, Dad, it's Christmas. It's Christmas. They're like, okay. They're like, well, go check to see if you have anything. And so I went, and there's no presents under the tree, which I was like, okay, well, why are there no presents? Where's Santa? Why is he not here yet? But then, so it was like a little separation from where our tree was into the kitchen. They're like, oh, maybe he wanted like to eat cookies first or something. Go check in there. And I went in, and there was actually a brand new bike. And I was just unbelievably excited. Didn't have a bike yet. Didn't even know how to ride a bike. Was going to learn and everything. But that's a memory for some reason just sticks with me.
What a great story. Well, meanwhile, I see Ben's mind kind of just clicking. He's thinking, what was mine? So you ready, Ben?
I don't know if it would be like a memory as much as it is just kind of like a ritual every single year. So Christmas Eve, we always spend it at my mom's side or with my aunt at her house, and then Christmas Day is always either at our house with my dad's side of the family. So it's nice being able to spend Christmas and Christmas Eve with all my extended family.
Connections, relationship building, family, special times, and so on.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's been a great show, and we kind of ran over, but that's okay because it's fun to talk to and get to know Taulvish, McCray, and Ben Meinholz. And Coach, it's a pleasure having you on. You bring a great culture to UWL, so we want to wish you the best on the season, and more importantly than that, a special holiday for all three of you. So thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Terry.
All right, we'll be back with some closing thoughts and a film clip on a recent game right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
Who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. This week we profiled UWL men's basketball. Off to a great start. We wish them the best during the 2018-19 season. Well, I hope you enjoyed your new year. We certainly did here at KQEG. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an exciting, healthy week ahead.